right, welcome in everyone, welcome in and happy Saturday. So today, as you can see, we're going to be playing the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles, and I'm kind of curious to see what's going to happen in today's episode. So it's going to be all kinds of fun. So how is everyone? I hope you're doing well. And I think we'll go right on ahead and jump into our video. Greetings friends and welcome to Enigma Night Gaming. My name is Liara and I will be your guide in today's adventure. Today we are playing the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles, and in today's episode we might finally get to see the true face of the culprit of this crime. Or will we? Well, without further ado, let's hop in and see who exactly is going to be coming to the witness stand. Alright. So we're going to continue, and just 1 second actually. Okay, sorry, had to grab something real fast. Okay, so we're gonna play our game. Let's see what we got. 17th of April, 12:41 p.m. The Old Bailey. Defendant's antechamber. Okay, so what's gonna happen? Ah, Gina, how are you holding up? She has nothing to say. I'm starting to feel quite warmly towards her frequent cold shoulders now. Ginny! Are you alright? Why aren't you saying anything? She's still not saying anything? What's the point, eh? Why go to all this trouble and fight so odd for the likes of me? What? Well, you saw it. The picture. What picture? Ah, you mean this. The photograph taken by Hurley's red-handed recorder. The one where she's holding a gun on him? Well, I don't think it would have captured a scene like this, that's for sure. It's Opus. Anyone who sees that's gonna think I did it, ain't they? Well, I won't pretend it wasn't a bit of a shock when the prosecution first presented it to the court. What's the story behind it? Will she tell us? Surely you've got to have your doubts about me now. You can't still think I'm innocent. But we do. Of course I can. We gotta have faith in our client, right? Jenny, why don't you talk to us? Tell us what's really happened that night. Eh? I mean, you know, the truth. That could help your case. Bruno's cleverly managed to piece together a lot of new information, but still, we'd really like to hear it from you. Will she tell us? Alright, then. It was after we'd had that dinner together at your place, right, Iris? Then we all had a chat up in your office, didn't we? Yes, I remember. She was asking us about the picture. After that, I just couldn't get to sleep. So I slipped out and went down the street to the 2-to-1. To Windibake's place. I don't know. If Iris's story was there or not, the Hound of the Baskervilles? I don't know what it's about or nothing. But if you ask me, there's something in it that Sholmes don't like. Something what he don't want people reading. So that's why he lied to Iris about sticking it in a lug with Windibank for safekeeping. At least, that's what I thought at the time. So you broke into Windibank's? I just had to know if it was there or not. I mean, I had no idea that was going to kick off, did I? Of course you didn't. I struck the lock and snuck inside. It was dark as you like in there. So I gave the old oil lamp on the counter a bit of wick, and that's when... What do you think you're doing? Ah! That was when Windibank came out. I nearly died, I did, and the next thing I knew... I grabbed the gun off the counter and was waving it in the air like I don't know what. Okay, so she grabbed the gun because she was scared. Ah, you're the girl who was in here this afternoon. I didn't think pickpockets went in for armed robbery. The mental script. Have you got it here? Did Sholmes leave a load of papers with you? A story? I beg your pardon. Under the something or other. If it's here, I want to see it. I'm sorry, young lady, but I'd sooner die than relinquish an article belonging to one of my customers. I don't want it. What would I do with it anyways? I just want to see its ear, that's all. Oh, you want to see it, do you? I want to know if Sholmes really pawned it here or not. Please, just let me see it and I'll go. Oh, very well then. But for pity's sake, stop waving my gun around, would you? Yeah, we knew that he wasn't afraid of her. So then the old cove unlocked the storeroom door and we both went inside. And it was that alright, the mental script. Sholmes weren't lying after all. You did all that just to check for me, Ginny? Anyway, there was a bit of a kick-up out in the main bit of the shop. The Skulkin brothers arriving on the scene, yes. What was that noise? Someone's breaking in. Dear me, is there some burglars convention here tonight that I don't know about? I think I forgot to shut the door behind me. Sorry. You'd better go and take care of it. Could I possibly have my gun back? Oh, well, I'll come with you and... Now, don't be foolish, young girl. You must stay right here. Don't leave this room under any circumstances. He's trying to protect her. And with that, he took the gun out of my hands and walked back out into the shop. She's not talking, she feels bad. I hung back in the storeroom, like you said, straining me ears in the dark to hear what was going on. It sounded like they got into a bit of a scrap. I started to think I should help, see? So I was just about to go out of the storeroom myself when... 2 shots. I heard a couple of shots go off. 2, I think. Almost at the same time. And then there he was, right at my feet, lying face down on the floor. I was right next to the storeroom door, so I slammed it, shut, and locked it quick, as you like. Because you thought whoever had shot Mr. Windybank might come for you. Yeah, so I went to grab the old cove's gun. I figured I'd put up a fight at least. But when I got a better look at him, I knew. Poor guy. Windybank was a goner. And then what happened? I felt funny in my head all of a sudden, kinda dizzy. And after that, I don't remember nothing. Did they fire? Sort of like a smoke gun, but to make her pass out, maybe? I don't know. That must be when you passed out, Gina. If I hadn't done what I done, the old cove might still be alive. Did you tell the police everything you just told us? Of course I did, but they didn't believe a word of it, did they? All they said was if I kept telling lies, it'd make things even worse for me. Corruption in the system. It'll be alright, Jenny. Don't worry. Just stay strong a little longer. Bruno's about to put the real culprit through the mill. Boy, she's doubtful. That cove what was there in the afternoon? That Eggert Benedict? Yes, this guy. I still remember how he looked at me like I was nothing. He was there that night. We don't know his real name yet, but I'm convinced that he's involved somehow. Anyway, thank you for telling us what happened, Gina. I appreciate your honesty. What? You can leave it all in Runo's capable hands now, Ginny. She's surprised somebody has faith in her. She's been hurt so many times. Mr. Naoto? Yes? How come you trust me? I don't get it. I mean, have you forgotten what's happened here before? Come on, it was only 2 months ago. Me and McGilded, we told you a whole pack of lies. And you got the bog trotter off with him, even though he was a killer. No, I could never forget that. Oh. I did what I thought was best at the time. But the pain of that error of judgment doesn't get any easier to bear. Still, don't forget that I also made you a promise. I told you that I'd be on your side to the bitter end, no matter what. But what if I'm lying? You could be working to get another killer off the hook for all you know. I was once in your position, Gina. I was the accused in the trial. You were? Before I left Japan, I was accused of murder. And strange as it might sound, the circumstances of the crime were pretty damning. I was sure that no one would believe it wasn't me who'd done it. Oh, Runo. But there was one person who stood up for me, who believed in me, and was prepared to defend me. My best friend. Ryunosuke, no one believes in you more than I do. Leave this to me. All you need to do is put your faith in me, and I'll do the rest. I was so happy I cried, but even then, somewhere inside me, I couldn't help thinking, surely he doesn't really believe in me. Not completely. But I was wrong. He did believe in us. As soon as my trial began, it was obvious that he had an absolute, unwavering belief in me. And in turn, I developed an absolute, unwavering belief in him. Since then, I came to realize, if you want someone to believe in you, you have to believe in the other person first. What are you saying? I promise you, Gina, that no matter what happens, keep believing in you. So you don't need to worry. I won't let you down. Even though I'm a diva and a no-good liar. Even so, you're not like McGilded. I know that. Eh? That's right. You're our friend, Ginny. Iris. We know you better than you think. And we've come to the conclusion that you're someone we can trust. Yes. That's really all we need to know. Exactly. Mr. Naoto, Is she trying to admit something to us? Oh, she's breaking down, poor girl. Defendant Gina Lestrade and her legal representative. Court proceedings are about to resume. Please head into the courtroom immediately. Yes, of course. Thank you. All right, time for court to proceed. Oh boy, oh boy. I've been both a defendant and a defending lawyer in my time. So I knew only too well just how hard it was to put all your faith in another. And I also knew just how hard it was to bear the burden of another putting all their faith in you. This is it at last, the final chapter, the final battle. Wish me luck, Susato-san, and I hope you're watching over me too, partner. Oh boy. Here we go, it's time for court. 17th of April, 1:41 p.m., the Old Bailey courtroom. Where's our new defendant, or our new witness? I hereby call this court to order as we resume the trial of Miss Gina Lestrade. Lord Vanzeeks, have you successfully subpoenaed the witness? The subpoena was delivered to the communication station, where the man works immediately, my lord. However, the heavy rain has delayed the arrival of his carriage, it would seem. I see. Then let us turn our attention to Inspector Gregson's thesis of the case, heard by the court this morning. The glaring omission of the third bullet in your report is a serious blunder, Inspector. Yes, I can only apologize, my lord. And although the defense's chemical analysis of the blood at the scene makes for a compelling argument, I cannot permit such untried methods to be used as evidence in my courtroom. It's a big mistake to cross Hurley and me. A very big mistake. My lord, the subpoenaed witness has just arrived in the building. Thank you, officer. Show him to the stand without delay. Mr. Eggert Benedict. I didn't expect to be crossing paths with him again so soon, and certainly not like this. Oh boy, oh boy. Oh man. Thank you for complying with the court's subpoena at such short notice, sir. But of course, my lord, as an upstanding member of London society, it is my pleasure to oblige. Now, kindly state your name and occupation for the record. Ashley Graydon, Communications Officer. Mr. Graydon and I both work at London Central Communication Station. And now, perhaps somebody would kindly explain what this is all about? You were apprised of the situation by the court officer on your way here, I presume. Yes, I was. Something to do with a murder that took place at a pawnbroker's on Baker Street. And some nonsense about me having been there on the night in question. That is the accusation indeed. This really is beyond a joke, you know. Very well. Without further delay, the court will hear your testimony now, Mr. Graydon. You will respond to the accusation made against you under oath. Gladly, my lord, gladly. Oh boy. We got the witness testimony. The accusation. Naturally, I have occasion to make use of pawnbroking services from time to time. But are you seriously suggesting I colluded with these thugs to break into the place on the night of the murder? I have no intention of admitting to such an outrageous accusation, even if certain parties here present claim that my blood was found at the scene. Some Scaramouche detective's homebrewed tincture can hardly be taken as serious evidence. Alright. Well, nothing is clear right now, but we'll see. So, you deny the accusation completely, do you? I must say, I am dismayed. For the highest court in the land to be swayed by this self-professed detective's toy. It was the will of the jury, and our great British justice system demands that the jury's will is upheld. Then it would seem we have the misfortune of a most inept assembly of jurors today. They're offended. By golly! How long am I expected to be detained here? If Following the defense's cross-examination, your involvement in this matter has not been established. You will be free to leave immediately. Good. Then I shall be away in time for tea, afternoon tea. Some small consolation at least. Let us not hold up Mr. Graydon any longer than necessary. Counsel, proceed with the cross-examination. So, we meet again, Mr. Eggert Benedict. Or is it Mr. Graydon? My apologies. You are? Ryunosuke Naruhodo, defense lawyer. We have met. If you say so. Ashley Graydon, enchanté. So. I trust we can conclude this quickly. But I'm not holding your flashy hat while we do. He's like, what? Alright. The accusation. Alright. Naturally, I have occasion to make use of pawnbroking services from time to time. Let's get more information. Yes, we even met in the very pawnbrokery where the crime took place on the afternoon of the day in question. Though, of course, you introduced yourself by a different name at the time. It was Mr. Eggert Benedict, I believe.
Objection!
Tell me, what made your... The witness is here to testify about the events that took place that night. Okay. He is under no obligation to answer such unrelated questions. You can't be serious. Thank you, because I certainly do not feel inclined to answer such an inappropriate question. So he's going to be evasive, is he? In an effort to not give anything away? Okay. This could be tricky. What are you seriously suggesting? I colluded with these thugs to break into the place on the night of the murder?
Hold it!
I mean, yeah, that is what we're... Have you seen these two men before? This pair? No, I don't associate with criminals. Said by a man who introduced himself as Eggert Benedict. I'd like to know who I have to thank for this. Who made this outlandish accusation against me? The young lawyer there in the black. This is a farce! Whose idea was it to permit an outsider to work in a British court anyway? Oh boy. Oh well, needless to say. I have no intention of admitting to such an outrageous accusation.
Hold it!
Where were you around 1 in the morning on the night in question, sir? That is past the hour at which I would normally retire. Certainly. I was not in the company of these rapscallions. You're able to prove that?
Objection!
Listen carefully, my learned Nipponese friend, for you appear to be under a gross misapprehension on this point. What do you mean? The witness maintains he was not at the scene of the crime. He has no obligation to prove his absence. If your accusation is that the witness was present at the scene, the obligation lies with you to prove your assertion. You will fulfill that obligation before putting any more unreasonable questions to the witness. That dance, though. A silent victory wiggle. Thanks. Oh boy. Even if certain parties here claim that my blood was found at the scene,
Hold it!
that might be something we could present to. Blood was found at the scene of the crime. There's no question of that. Mr. Sholmes' chemical analysis has positively identified the substances as such. But I am not the only human to have blood running through my veins, am I? How can you be sure that the blood is mine? It could equally be the blood of one of these two miscreants. Every individual's blood has a slightly different composition, it seems. Mr. Sholmes' chemical is able to differentiate between... Spare me the science lesson. Who is this Sholmes character, anyway? Oh, I assumed all Londoners would know the name. He's a renowned detective. So even you are unable to bring yourself to say a great detective. A great detective, you say? Tisk! Now we're in the realm of fairy tales, aren't we? Excuse me. Do you have something to say about that, Mr. Skulkin? What? Me? No, the Mr. Skulkin next to you. Right, I've added up to air with this. How many times have I got to tell you? Yes, I know, you're not Big Bruv Skulky. Or Sulky. Mr. Nash Skulkin. Corblimey, governor, you what? Is it not the case that when Mr. Graydon just spoke, a thought went through your mind? Would you care to share that thought with the court? Me thoughts? I don't have none of them. It must have been him. You what? Mr. Nash Skulkin, answer the question, please. What went through your mind when Mr. Graydon just spoke? Nothing, honest, governor, nothing. I was just thinking, if he waves his arms around that much more, I'll open up the wound again, that's all. What wound? Where he took the bullet, of course. It was only 2 days ago. It ain't gonna be healed up yet. So I was, well, you know, I was waiting for him and... Oh, elbows. Mr. Graydon, did you hear that? What? Your comrade is worried about you, it seems. On account of your injured arm. My lord. Yes, Mr. Graydon. I have no idea what these two wretches are talking about. Certainly, I shouldn't be expected to answer anything in relation to their mindless insinuations. We know that someone other than the victim was hit by a bullet at the scene of the crime 2 nights ago. And from the height of the bullet hole in the wall, that person was likely hit in the upper arm or thereabouts. Okay. Is he holding his arm or what? Perhaps you'd allow the court official to examine your arm, sir? The left arm you're currently clasping with your right hand as if in pain? Maybe? No, I refuse. Really? You have shown no evidence whatsoever that links me to these common thieves. Accordingly, I am not obliged to permit any such invasion of my privacy. We're blocked at every turn. As I've already said, I am completely uninvolved in all this. I've never had anything to do with the pawnbrokery where this fellow was killed whatsoever. I take offense at the insinuation that I was in any way involved. You claim to have had nothing whatsoever to do with Mr. Windibank's pawnbrokery. My lord, the defense would like that last statement to be added to Mr. Graydon's formal testimony. Very well, counsel. Continue with your testimony, Mr. Graydon. Okay. The bottom line is, I've never had anything to do with the pawnbroking establishment where the man was killed. Do we have any evidence that says otherwise? Let's see. We have the redemption ticket. What does this say? Mr. Windibank appears to have used the back of this photograph to write out a redemption ticket. He's written it very neatly, but still, perhaps he ran out of paper, so he had to use anything he had to hand. It's hard to know what's the front and what's the reverse side now. Okay. So I'm not sure that's necessarily evidence. Got the blood samples. This was... I don't think any of that is helpful, to be honest. Let's see. I don't know that that's helpful yet. Do we have any photographic evidence? No. That's the post-shooting. Okay, I don't think we have any evidence, so we just need to press it. Never had anything to do with it? You forget I was there, Mr. Graydon, on the very afternoon of the incident. Obviously, I am not a complete stranger to the pawnbrokers. I'm currently on the lookout for an armchair to furnish my study.
Objection!
No, you were there to redeem an article. I have no idea what you're talking about. Alright, let's pursue this one. Do you have something to add, Inspector? Come again, sunshine? You were there too, in fact, weren't you, Inspector, that afternoon? Well, yes, I do remember meeting yourself in the pawnbrokers that afternoon. You, your young Japanese assistant, and the accused were all present, as I recall. And at that time, this witness, Mr. Graydon, was trying to acquire a particular article. Well now? Come on, fess up. I'm afraid I don't remember too clearly. What? But you must. I'm not going to lie and pretend I remember something that I don't. What is going on here? Grexy showed us a picture before, didn't he? You know, from the cameras that Hurley installed in Windibanks? Yes, of course. Indeed, and the gentleman pictured bears a striking resemblance to the witness, I must say. We don't have that. Exactly. Which proves that Mr. Graydon was in the shop on the afternoon in question. At no point have I denied that fact. I merely entered the shop to peruse the articles on sale and have a word with the broker. Nothing more. Really? You're just gonna sit there and eat your chips, huh? This makes no sense. I understand why Mr. Graydon might be trying to cover his tracks. But why would Gregson be trying to avoid giving testimony about what happened? Unless this is somehow related to the stuff he's not supposed to talk about. That's all he's going to say on the matter, is it? What do you think, Bruno? I think he has no intention of telling us anything. He's well aware that the less he says, the less chance he has of giving himself away. The complete opposite of Hurley, then. He seems to think that the more he says, the better. Well, at least I managed to prise a little more information from these witnesses' lips. All thanks to the Skulkin brothers. Yes, they were the key to it after all. So he says he had nothing to do with the Windibanks. Well, we know that's not true. Perhaps now would be a good time to have a proper look through the court record. Good idea. You never know what tiny scrap of information could become a valuable weapon. Alright, well let's do that again then. Alright, so let's look through what we've got. This was the redemption ticket, right? And we can't, oh, we can turn it over. I don't know that there's anything else about that, right? This is just, representation paper. I don't know that that helps us. We got the blood samples. We've got the music box disc. maybe we can look at his finger? I don't know. What else do we got? Notes collected by Mr. Sato. Let's see. Victim found deceased on the last scheduled omnibus. We haven't really looked through this, have we? Details of the victim. Mason, Milverton, brickmaker, East London. Defendant Magnus McGilded. Lord Barrack von Zeeks is the prosecution. Defense Ryonosuke Naruhodo. Conviction was assured with 3 eyewitness testimonies. However, a surprise 4th witness's testimony resulted in acquittal due to insufficient evidence. Okay. Is there anything about this that we could see? I don't think so, right? What do we... The Hound of the Baskervilles. That's right. I used Daddy's notes to write it. I think it's a great story. I don't know why Hurley's forbidden me to publish it. No, it's strange, isn't it? Perhaps it's a problem with the title. Perhaps Mr. Sholmes is a family friend of someone that has that name or something. Well, it doesn't have quite the same ring to it, but I could change it to The Hound of the Naruhodos. I'm fairly sure that Mr. Sholmes is a friend of someone who has that name, too. Alright, let's see. And then we've got this paper. This article was about pawnbroker parishes and pick-purse plunder. How awful for Jenny, I mean. But tomorrow's headline will be Discharged Divers, Dauntless Do-Gooder, right? Yes, something like that. If possible, I'd like to go even bigger. Bigger? How? Proud pickpocket protects planet post-trial, perhaps. Protects planet? Ooh, I can't wait for tomorrow now. It's going to be so great. Alright, and this article was talking about what exactly? There's a sensational story lower down the front page as well. Look. Ministry mole? Classified secrets may have been leaked overseas from Ministry of Justice. For a 10-year-old? Iris certainly has her fingers on the pulse of the world news. It's about secret communications between Great Britain and its allies. Apparently, they're being intercepted by hostile nations. Communications are being intercepted, but how would somebody be doing that? That's the question, isn't it? I've come up with 3 different possible methods so far. Are you looking for a new career, Runo? No, of course not. I wonder, perhaps this is what Lord Strongheart was talking about yesterday. Yes, it could be, and it could explain why he and Gregsy has Gregsy running from pillar to post at the moment. Maybe we can use that somehow. I'm not sure how exactly. Autopsy report, time of death, 1:30 reporting party. It's a single bullet wound, no other visible signs of trauma. Alright, nothing really jumps out there. I don't know that we can do anything there, right? Nothing's really helpful here. I don't think so. Okay. What else do we got? We got the floor plan. I don't know that that's helpful. We've looked at the bullets. I don't know. We've probably examined all of this. This is Mr. Windibank's gun. The cylinder is completely empty. Mr. Windibank always used to keep this gun on hand on his shop counter. Yes, but only ever with a single bullet loaded, I understand. That's right, to keep all the pawned articles that were in his care safe. But his one bullet was fired that night and the poor man lost his life. Was he protecting his shop, I wonder? Trying to keep the articles safe? Alright. What else do we have? We've got the Skulkin brothers. What do we have to examine? Let's examine that. So there's ammunition still loaded in 5 of this revolver's 6 cylinders. Yes, which tells us that only a single shot has been fired from it. Exactly. The bullet that hit Hurley, in fact, isn't it? Yes, it happened almost as soon as we'd walked through Windibank's door. Oh, make those brothers pay. Okay, I don't think that's necessarily helping. We've got the 2 photos, but is there anything here that we can... I mean, there's this. Does that somehow help? I don't know. I'm not sure that there's anything here that would tell us any extra information, right? Is there? I don't know. Nothing's jumping out at me anyways. Okay. And then we have these items, which, you know, we've already examined this, right? This is the bullet that was fired from the Skulkin brothers' gun on the night of the incident. Yes, so it turns out it never actually entered Hurley's body at all. Thanks to the thick leather of the pouch he was wearing, it saved him. Hurley's always lucky like that. Well, considering what he had to go through in the hospital, I wonder how lucky he really was. Oh dear, poor Hurley. Okay, and was there anything else about this that we need to examine? I don't think so. We found all of that stuff, I think. The only other thing is that, so I'm really not sure. So let's just continue onward and see, is there a way we can link him to those guys? Colluded with these thugs. I have no intention of admitting to such an outrageous accusation. Okay, have we pressed this one? Some Scaramouche detectives' homebrew tincture can hardly be taken as serious evidence. Let's examine that one. Don't forget, sir, Mr. Sherlock Holmes is the most famous detective in the world. And the most famous detective in the world tells the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, oh no, I can't think how to answer that. I once saw the world's most famous swindler thrown into jail. He allegedly told the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but what turned out to be a pack of lies. Ugh. Quite. Now, as you are no doubt aware, the Central Communication Station is the heart of this country's information network. My work there is of paramount importance, and you have kept me from it long enough already. The bottom line is, I've never had anything to do with the pawnbroking establishment where the man was killed. But that's not true. What? Can we present the disc? I don't know. I'm just very curious.
Objection!
Can we... Have you ever seen this disc before, Mr. Graydon? Why, is it supposed to mean something? This disc was, until the day of his murder, in pawn in Mr. Windibank's shop. It was redeemed by the defendant, Miss Gina Lestrade, that afternoon. However, somebody mysteriously appeared to try to take it from her. And that somebody was you, of course. Wasn't it, Mr. Graydon? As I have reiterated numerous times now, you are mistaken. That was not me. I never seen that disc before in my life. It may have escaped your notice, but there is a small smear of blood on the disc. Ah, yes, resulting from an abrasion of the thumb, perhaps. That's right. The surface of the disc is covered in hundreds of tiny metal bumps. In the skirmish to acquire the disc, the thumb of the person who tried to take it suffered minor lacerations. So, while the disc bears the remnants of that skirmish in the form of this smear of blood, the thumb of the person in question must bear the remnants also in the form of a scratch. Good gracious, indeed it must! Mr. Graydon, come on, show us your thumb. You refused to allow a court officer to examine your arm before. Are you now going to refuse us to examine your thumb? because I have no doubt that it bears a small scratch consistent with the smear of blood on this disc. Oh, well, well. It would seem I underestimated you. What is the meaning of this? So you admit it now? You admit you have a scratch on your thumb from when you attempted to take the disc from the defendant? Oh boy. Order! Order! Well, Mr. Graydon? It would appear there has been something of a misunderstanding here. I did not attempt to take the disc, as you put it. No, quite the reverse. What are you trying to say? It's really quite simple, you see. The disc was mine from the outset. Is there some crime in taking an item that you own out of pawn? What? It would seem, Mr. Graydon, that in this piece of evidence my learned friend has established a link between yourself and the incident. Accordingly, you will tell the court everything you know about this disc now. As you wish, though I'm quite sure it has nothing to do whatsoever with the pawnbroker's murder. We'll see. Alright, so now we're onto the disc. There's a note on the disc saying "For gilded," but the item belongs to me. The redemption ticket was stolen from me by the accused, that filthy gutterling, on the day in question. I proceeded at once to the shop in order to explain my situation and redeem my article. In the end, of course, the disc was taken by the police. In other words, I had absolutely no reason to break into the shop later that same night. But did you now? Did I hear you correctly, sir? McGilded, you say? The famous London philanthropist? Who perished in this very courtroom 2 months ago after being acquitted of a most distinctly messy murder. Yes, my lord, the one and the same. Good Lord, Mr. Graydon! Are you saying that Mr. McGilded and yourself were acquainted? Yes, that's correct. Oh boy. Order! Well, I certainly didn't expect to hear that name uttered in my courtroom again. According to what Gina told us, this disc was placed in pawn on that fateful night 2 months ago. McGilded himself gave instructions to deposit it at Windibanks. It's funny that Mr. Graydon here is claiming the disc belongs to him then, isn't it? In all likelihood, he's lying. So he appeared that afternoon at Windibanks in order to get his hands on McGilded's disc for some reason. Counsel, you will commence your cross-examination, please. Oh boy. So here we go, the disc. There's a note on the disc saying "For McGilded," but the item belongs to me.
Hold it!
Would you care to explain how this belongs to you? As you will observe, a communications officer such as myself commands a fine salary. You are certainly exquisitely dressed, sir. So you see, I have little need to make use of the services provided by the pawnbrokery trade. However, I did once find myself in difficulties, having misplaced my purse whilst on an errand, which is why I pawned my fine black overcoat to the broker in question. You claim that was your overcoat? Obviously, and in my haste I clean forgot that the music box disc was in its pocket. And yet, there is a note on it that reads "For McGilded." I am a collector of rare and unusual music box music. I first met McGilded at a gentleman's club in the city and was interested to discover that he shared my penchant in that area. So the disc in question. It is a pre-production sample. I promise to let Mr. McGilded hear it. But then you forgot that it was in the pocket of the overcoat you were forced to pawn. Yes, exactly. Gina didn't mention any of that in her testimony 2 months ago, did she? No, because McGilded had threatened her to keep her mouth shut. Which means that if we dig too deeply here, it's going to expose Gina's perjury. Oh dear, this is complicated, isn't it? Let's leave it alone for the time being. The redemption ticket was stolen from me by the accused, that filthy gutterling, on the day in question.
Hold it!
So you're saying that Miss Lestrade lifted the ticket from your pocket or bag? That's right, despite being mindful of danger when walking in the insalubrious areas for a kind of secret. Miss Lestrade did no such thing. Well, of course she would take that stance, but the girl is a regular offender. You came to the pawnbrokery that day prepared with all the information you needed to identify the defendant. You were looking for her. That's what brought you to Windibanks. To get your hands on McGilded's disc.
Objection!
My learned friend is a veritable font of nonsense. Nonsense? I concur with the prosecution. Counsel, you will refrain from conjecturing in this way. Is that clear? Yes, my lord. Then I will continue with my testimony for what possible use it can be. I proceeded at once to the shop in order to explain my situation and redeem my article.
Hold it!
Had you ever been to Windibanks before? Only once, for the purposes of pawning something. But, like many, I enjoy browsing in such establishments. So, when you noticed that the pickpocket had taken your ticket, you chased after her, is that correct? Yes, that's right. I didn't notice at first, of course. Such is the art of the pick-purse. But when I did, I headed to the pawnbrokery at once in order to reclaim my coat before the thief could. I was merely trying to recover what was rightfully mine in the first place. He say what he likes because he knows we have no evidence to contradict him on this. In the end, of course, the disc was taken by the police.
Hold it!
Yes, it was taken by Inspector Gregson here, wasn't it? That's right. This was the very man. Apparently, the police are collecting anything that has a connection to Mr. McGilded as evidence.
Excuse me.
Do tell. Is something wrong, Inspector? What do you mean? The last remark Mr. Grayton made in his testimony seemed to trouble you in some way. No, I didn't. It's nothing. Leave it alone. Let me ask you this, Inspector. Why is Scotland Yard gathering Mr. McGilded's possessions? I can't tell you something like that, Sunshine. What is it, Inspector? Investigative secrets? Yes, exactly. You should know all about that. Magnus McGilded, who died so unexpectedly after his trial 2 months ago, a man renowned throughout the capital for his great contributions to public life, yet he had a dark side too. Where are you going with this, Van Zieks? I suppose the police are dealing with the aftermath of his nefarious activities, are they? That's enough. Coppers like me have duties to carry out that we're not at liberty to talk about. That's all you need to know. Duties conferred by Lord Strongheart, I presume. The Lord Chief Justice appears to have great faith in you, Inspector. He's clenching them fries so hard. The bottom line is, if you want to get more out of me, you're gonna need Lord Strongheart's paw print first. Oh boy. What's all this about? It's like there's something going on between Gregson and Lord Van Zieks here. I mean, there's definitely some kind of power play going on here. Well, it would appear that the inspector has revealed all he is at liberty to reveal. Mr. Graded, let us return to your testimony. Alrighty. Gladly, my lord. Let's see what he has. In other words, I had absolutely no reason to break into the shop later that same night.
Hold it!
Is that so, though? But perhaps you'd seen something of value among the forfeited items. No, not at all. Oh? A valuer was brought in by the police to assess everything in the shop. Without exception, every article on the shelves was common or garden bric-a-brac. In that case, it's clear that you broke into the shop later that day in order to recover Mr. McGilded's disc. Have you not been listening, man? We have, but even if I had wanted to recover the disc, you may recall that it had been seized by the police that afternoon. This was no more in the shop that night than I. As I keep saying, I simply had no reason to break in. We need a motive, so there was nothing of McGilded's left in the shop that night. Nothing this man might have been after. I wonder if that's really true. Bruno, if you have some evidence, then let him have it. I'm dying to see that irritatingly assured expression of his crumble. Okay, so do we have evidence? McGilded slipped the disc into his coat pocket and had it deposited at Windibank's. Then, when he realized he was going to be arrested on suspicion of the omnibus murder, he threatened Gina and forced her to take the redemption ticket. There's no doubt about it that witness is lying through his pearly white teeth. The police were obviously after anything left behind by McGilded as well. That's why Inspector Gregson ended up taking the disc into custody that day. Don't we have a second redemption ticket from McGilded? But Gregsy's been very strange about this. There must be a reason for that, I'm sure. I just don't know what it is. For now, I need to focus on exposing the fact that Mr. Graydon is lying in his testimony. Alright, so I think we do have something, right? So let's see. We have, this was a redemption ticket issued from the pawnbroker, owned by the victim, Mr. Windibank. Okay, so what was this one? This was, what was this? One gentleman's overcoat. Okay, so this was the gentleman's overcoat ticket. So what was the other ticket, right? Let's check that out. Because there's two, we have two tickets, right? What was this ticket? One small box. Okay. Mr. Windibank appears to have used the back of this photograph. Okay, so this one was another item, right? So let's use this. Let's present this to him, right? Alright, so let's skip all this. No reason. In other words, I had absolutely no reason, but did you? Because we have a redemption ticket issued from the pawnbroker about the box, right? So let's present that. This disc was deposited at Mr. Windibank's on Magnus McGilded's instructions. You knew that, and you went there with the intention of obtaining it for yourself.
Objection!
Conjecture again. And in any case, the disc was taken into custody by the police that afternoon. The witness had no reason to visit the pawnbroker again that night.
Objection!
But that's not true. Sorry, my learned friend. But that's not true. Turning the insults around. What? Mr. McGilded had another article in pawn at Windibank's, as this second pawnbroker's ticket proves. There were two articles belonging to Mr. McGilded and Windibank's pawnbroker, and the reason you broke into the shop that night was to recover the second one. together with your two accomplices, the Skulkin brothers. Ugh. This is the second ticket, is it? What had the man deposited? The article description reads one small box. A rather vague description, it seems to me. Are you suggesting that I broke into the pawnbrokery with these clowns in order to steal some trinket box? I believe there are adequate grounds to suspect that you did. This is absurd. Why on earth would I do such a thing? Once the article had been forfeited, I could simply walk into the shop and purchase it. There would be absolutely no need for me to resort to theft. That's a good point. Indeed. The witness makes a solid argument. So that means that for some reason, this Graydon fellow needed the small box that very night, does it?
Objection!
It's time to put an end to this nonsense, my lord. Could you be a little less cryptic, Lord Van Zeeks? I do hate to ruin my learned friend's argument, but the truth is quite incontrovertible. On the night in question, no small box was taken from Windibank's pawnbrokery. And rest assured, the prosecution can prove it. What? Good gracious! Inspector, show the photographic prints to the court, if you please. Yes, sir! What prints? Yeah, what prints do we have? These prints were taken from one of the detective's security cameras. Ah, Harley's red-handed recorders again. As previously explained, using the plan of the shop layout, the victim's establishment was furnished with automatic cameras in two locations. One was set to capture the counter, where Mr. Windibank received his customers, and the other was set to capture the shelves on which articles were placed for sale once forfeited. According to the information on this ticket, McGilded's small box had been forfeited already, 2 days before the incident at 9 p.m. on 13th April to be precise, which means it would have been on the shelves of the forfeited items in the shop front. Now, what I have here is a print taken by one of the cameras about 2 hours before the incident. That's at 11 p.m. on 15th of April. Okay. The victim certainly had a very full shop, it would appear. And then here we have another print. This one was taken about 2 hours after the incident. We can use our, I bet we can use our little, scope. I see, so we have two pictures to compare. So, I'm betting there's a slight difference. Though I must say that placing them side by side leaves me cold. I think that little box in the middle got moved a little. Dear me, that's starting to make my head ache. Obviously, at Scotland Yard, we considered theft as one possible motive in this case. We explored the possibility that something had been taken in addition to the victim's life. So your men have already compared these two prints thoroughly, Inspector. Yes, sir. But can we use our little scope? Because I think this box was moved. We counted every single item in each of these two photographic prints. And the yard's conclusion is that exactly the same number are present in both. I think it'd be a box within a box, right? That's what I'm guessing. In other words, nothing was taken from the pawnbrokery on the night in question. And my learned friend's assertion is nothing more than a hopeful fantasy. But is it? But is it? I don't believe it. I could have just shown that he'd stolen McGilded's pawned box. Don't do your victory dance yet, sir. I might have been able to break him down at last. You know what, Bruno? I've been thinking. I wonder if these two photographs really are exactly the same. Yeah, I don't think they are. What? So, counsel, in the light of the evidence put forward by the prosecution, what is your position? It seems that, in fact, on the night in question, nothing was stolen from the victim's establishment. Do you accept the prosecution's assertion? Of course not! I don't know. I definitely do not. Because this little box here in the middle has been moved. Let's point out a discrepancy. Use a piece of evidence. Could there be some hidden discrepancy in these two photographic prints somewhere? The question is, which one of these? Do we point out a discrepancy or do we use a piece of evidence? We have that, let's see what happens if we use a piece of evidence, right? Before I give my answer, my lord, I'd like to try something, if I may. Try something? What do you mean, counsel? I'll need to use a certain piece of evidence from the court record to identify the discrepancy. I'm not entirely sure I follow. Which piece of evidence do you intend to use to help you identify a discrepancy between the two prints? This one, the stereoscope.
Take that!
I'd like to use this device, my lord, to view the two prints stereoscopically. Ooh! Yes, you've caught the bug at last. You can't resist it, can you? You've got the cross-eyed compulsion. You're number 3. What a surprise. Come on, Runo. Let's put the pictures in place and see what this wonderful contraption shows us. It's going to be that box that's going to jump out, right? There we go. Now look through the eyepiece. Oh, it wasn't. It was this. Okay. I'm glad we used it then. I thought it was the box. I wasn't sure at first, but there's a clear discrepancy between these two prints. What? You must identify the location in question for the court, counsel. Indicate the precise location of the discrepancy of which you speak. I'm glad we decided to use the stereoscope. Granted, these two prints are almost identical. However, there is one minor discrepancy between them. What? When you view the two pictures stereoscopically, that one little box has been moved. A single area stands out as being different. The location of this small box. Let me wait. Unbelievable. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. By Jove, you're right. How extraordinary. I love how he's all cross-eyed. What this tells us is very simple. Mr. McGilded's small box was indeed not stolen from Windibanks on the night in question. However, there can be no doubt that somebody picked up this particular box and then returned it to its place on the shelves. Are you suggesting that the small box originally deposited by Mr. McGilded is in fact? Yes, the very same small box I just identified in these photographic prints.
Objection!
Mindless guesswork. What if it is? So a box was moved on the shelf. Nothing was stolen. Unless something was stolen out of it, or whatever information he needed from the box he was able to obtain. Which means, quite simply, that nothing has changed. That may be true, but... Alright, McGilded's box wasn't stolen then. But doesn't the fact that it was moved like that change things? It changes everything. I believe this changes everything about the case. How can that possibly be? The crucial point is the fact that what was moved was a small box. In other words, we have to consider what might have been inside that box. Exactly. What are you suggesting? I'm suggesting that we need to examine that box as soon as possible. A vital piece of evidence is sitting in the shelves at Windibank's as we speak.
Objection!
That won't be necessary. Some little box belonging to a man who died 2 months ago can't possibly be relevant to this trial. The court does not uphold your objection, Lord Benzies. Bailiff, arrange for an officer to go to Baker Street at once, obtain the small box in question, and bring it back here for further examination. Oh boy. It's gonna be great. Are we gonna be right? They're facing off. The final showdown. Oh boy. What are we gonna find? We should have a report within half an hour. I think perhaps we should recess for a short while until the evidence is brought forth. To be hoodwinked by such a farce. Humph, disappointing. I beg your pardon, Lord Van Zeeks? This is nothing but a smokescreen, a Nipponese specialty, it would seem. What are you trying to say? My learned friend has persisted with the same line of reasoning from the very beginning, that this witness's intent was to steal an article belonging to Mr. McGilded from the pawnbrokery. Yet common sense tells us that none of the articles have value enough to be worth stealing in the first place. Exactly! It would be beyond absurd to break into a place for the purpose of stealing such commonplace property. Time to throw the blood again. If your lordship recalls, Mr. McGilded perished 2 months ago, immediately after the conclusion of his trial. A trial in which he was found not guilty. A trial in which it was established he was the upstanding member of society his reputation implied, in fact. So I propose a toast to my learned friend and his most insightful defense. The articles this upstanding member of society pawned were entirely ordinary. A black overcoat that just happened to have a music box disc in one of its pockets, and a small box. I assure you, I wouldn't accept even if the man tried to make a gift of such things to me. But yet you did. You know, that does rather make a lot of sense. It's not as if it was gold or jewels, is it? Though goodness knows McGilded was rich enough. But you can't just deposit cash at a pawnbroker, I'm quite certain of that. The prosecution's argument is undeniably compelling. It is incumbent on the defense now to bolster its argument. To explain what possible significance these commonplace articles pawned by this fine citizen could have. Well, counsel, is your argument in fact demonstrable? Are you able to show proof that the disc or the box are in any tangible way related to this case? Well, are we? What's the matter, Bruno? We know that they're related, don't we? They're both vital pieces of evidence. Yes, of course, you and I both know that. We know McGilded's true character, and we know the disc is significant, even if we don't know why. But if we explain all that to the court at this point, we'll have to acknowledge that McGilded's acquittal 2 months ago was a mistake. That the defense's argument was flawed, based on that information, that false information. Oh no! And that would mean admitting that Gina committed perjury. But Ginny? Could it be that Van Zeeks knows? Is that why he's doing this now? Because he anticipated everything? But maybe. This could be a great opportunity for us. Sorry, what do you mean, Iris? Well, what is it that you always say, Bruno? sooner or later the truth comes out? Every time? That's true. Alright, the exact significance of the things that McGilda deposited with Mr. Windibank is something that only Gina can explain to the court. But if I put her on the stand to testify about that, it could critically damage our chances of winning this case. We gotta have that information, though. What's the right thing to do here? We have to have Gina testify. My lord, the defense would like to make a proposal. Ooh, what proposal, counsel? While the court awaits the arrival of Mr. McGilda's small box, I would like to call the defendant, Miss Gina Lestrade, to the witness stand. The defendant? To what end? It is to do with the various articles deposited at Mr. Windibank's by Mr. McGilda, my lord. Miss Lestrade has information related to them. I believe it would be beneficial for the court to hear what she has to say. It will prove the significance of the articles in question once and for all. Well, things are becoming interesting. I presume you've considered the implications of the testimony you're proposing. Of course we have. In particular, the impact it will have on the accused's standing, and indeed your own. I have. Lord Menzies, would you care to explain that last remark? The prosecution accepts the defense's proposal. I move to interrupt the cross-examination of the current witness and hear from the accused herself. Very well, if you have no objection. So the court will now hear the testimony of the defendant, Miss Gina Lestrade. Your witnesses currently in the stand may step down until further notice. Oh boy. Then I shall bid you good day. Wait. You, sir, shall remain in the stand while Miss Lestrade testifies. He doesn't like that. As you wish. Alright then, Gina. It's time. I know this will be hard, but please put your faith in me here. Good luck, Bruno. Oh boy. But you know. Let's see. She says nothing. The articles that Mr. McGilda had deposited in Windibank's pawnbrokery are intimately related with the omnibus case, the trial of which was heard in this courtroom 2 months ago. Yes, and I remember this young lady being brought before me in that trial as well. That's right, my lord. Her testimony helped to establish the innocence of the defendant, Mr. McGilda. The omnibus case was intriguing, to say the least. And now, here we all are again, the same players in that trial, facing each other once more. A twist of fate, perhaps, my Nipponese friend. Perhaps. Allow me to recap the events of 2 months ago. An old brickmaker was stabbed to death in an omnibus running along London's winter streets. Apart from the victim, there was only one other person in the carriage, Mr. McGilda. Naturally, he was the prime suspect for the murder. But as the trial progressed, another possibility emerged, that the murder in fact took place above the defendant's head on the roof deck, with the body then being dropped through the skylight into the carriage below. It was Miss Lestrade whose testimony brought that possibility to light. At the time of the incident, Miss Lestrade was concealed under a seat in the carriage, hoping to pick the pockets of unsuspecting passengers. Then, immediately after the trial, having been acquitted of the murder, Mr. McGilda died in this very courtroom in the most extraordinary of circumstances. A mystery that remains unsolved even now, 2 months on. As indeed does the omnibus murder itself. Be that as it may, I recall neither the disc nor this small box being mentioned in the course of those proceedings. Miss Lestrade, would you tell the court now, please, what really happened in the omnibus 2 months ago, I mean? I don't know what you mean. I already said all what I know. And what about everything you told us yesterday from inside your prison cell? Please, Miss Lestrade, this is extremely important. But... Remember, little girl, if it transpires that you willfully withheld information in the trial 2 months ago, the Home Office will seek to prosecute you for perjury. And naturally, you will lose all credibility as a witness. Although, let's face facts, you have little credibility to lose. Ginny, don't listen to him. Please, you have to trust Bruno now. Iris? We're on your side. Hopefully she makes the decision. Alright then. I'll talk. It's the right choice, Gina. Oh well, it would seem that my learned friend is hell-bent on bringing the entire courtroom down about his ears. So be it. I must confess that I'm struggling to understand what on earth is happening here. However, it would appear that Mr. McGilded's pawned articles in that extraordinary case of the omnibus harbor secrets of which have been hitherto unaware. Indeed, they do. So, Miss Lestrade, you will now give your testimony before the court about the events 2 months ago. You will reveal the truth, a commodity sorely lacking in your original statements. This is it then. Everything's going to come out. Like Van Zeke said, this could bring the whole courtroom down above my ears, but as a lawyer, I'm prepared to take that risk. And you know, of course, we're going to take a pause here. So, if you like this story and you like this content, then please make sure to like, subscribe, follow, share, all that good stuff. If you want to watch live, we're on Twitch at twitch.tv/LeR27. I have my schedule posted in the about and in the description. And if you want to see which games I play each day, I post them on x.com/LeR27. And I hope you'll join me in the next one. Until then, guys, bye. Alright, I know you hate the... Oh, nope. We cannot see this. We cannot see this. We're not allowed to see this. I need to come over here and just save it. Alright. So, hopefully we don't hopefully we can actually, I don't know if it's gonna, if we just lost that or not. I should have saved it before, but that's okay. We'll see how it goes. But anyways, let me see. Where is it? I'll go ahead and turn this back on for you guys. Episode 5. Let's see. There we go. That's the next one. Ironic that we're saving over the runaway room, which is the case we're talking about here. Alright, so that is going to be it for today. So I hope you guys had fun with that. And we are going to go ahead and call it here today. So I hope you guys had fun. I hope you guys enjoyed that story. I had a lot of fun with it. And we will be back here tomorrow at 3 p.m. Central Time. We're going to be playing Shadows of Doubt once again. Yay. And the next chapter of Box's Lost Fragments. So I hope you guys are excited for that. Now let's see who we can raid. Let's see. How about I'm trying to see. Well, let's see. I'm looking at who all. I'm trying to see who all is on that we could raid. I'm very curious. So let's see. Same category. Because I'm very curious. All right. So this will be, I think. Who all should we raid? Oh my goodness, there's so many people playing it right now. It's awesome. All right, why don't we raid? Let's see. So many people. All right, I think we will raid Vivian Darling. We raided her before. So we'll go ahead and raid her. She is also playing the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. So we'll go ahead and give her a raid. And then we'll be back here tomorrow at 3 p.m. Central. So I'll see you guys later. Bye!